Welcome to the Shared Path. I'm Maggie Linton. Summer is just around the corner, and yes, you still have time to get your beach body together. Joining us to jumpstart the path is Kathy Murray, a graduate of The Ohio State University and a member of the 1983 National Cheerleading Championship. Kathy has lived in Europe and is now a personal trainer with her own business, Fit Bodies, for over 25 years. She's also co author of the audiobook, The Munich Cowboy Cheerleaders. I'm so glad to have her. It is Kathy Murray. Thank you, Kathy, for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be
Well,
here.
listen, let's talk about you starting out and when did you kind of know that fitness was your calling?
Oh, a long time ago. I think, I've always, even when I was a youth, I always say I was a run jump girl. I was always jumping around, jumping down, swinging off swing sets and playing double dutch and basketball. And I just was always a physically active youth. And luckily that has transcended into adulthood too. So, always played sports. Cheerleading obviously was my main sport starting at like 12 all the way through college. So it's a little bit of dabble. I dabbled in everything. I tried everything once, even though I wasn't even tall. I tried volleyball, I tried basketball. So just everything physical.
And you knew that you wanted to be able to help others too, though, because that's so much of who you are. Uh, I know you went to the Ohio State University. I
See,
had used to
thank
live.
you.
I used to sit across from a guy who went to Ohio State, and he always say
Corrected you.
the
Yes,
Ohio State,
correction.
correcting, yeah,
Correct,
constantly
correct.
correcting. So I got that right. But let's talk about when you really started realizing that this could possibly be a career because the career is what really took you on quite a journey into Europe and everything else. It's
Right.
pretty interesting.
Yes. I think I first started uh, knowing that I had a gift to help people with fitness when I was in college, because I was always, in the gym in between classes, and I was always, giving people, here's the right technique, here's the right form, and then people would come up and ask me certain things. So I think in college was the first time that I really knew, wow, I really like to help other people get fit. That was the first, and then being a cheerleader, especially in college, we traveled a lot. We traveled, to obviously all the Big Ten schools. When we won the championship, I got a chance to go to Hawaii. So that was a major thing too, as far as
It
fitness,
opened your
taking you
eyes
out.
to the possibilities, didn't it?
Yes, it really did. And then, of course, when I became a national aerobic champion, that was, not only the US, but that was Japan, that was worldwide, which then, of course, took me to Europe. So it's just been the key to get me all over the world with fitness.
Let's you mentioned Europe. How did
Hmm.
that come about? I know you say, "Oh, I came over to do the cheerleading," but it was a lot more than that.
It was a lot more. I was in corporate, and after 5 years, I just knew that this was not my thing. But I had always remained involved in fitness. So even though I was in medical sales, I would teach group fitness in the different gyms at night. At this point, I was in Pittsburgh. A good friend of mine, Madonna Grimes, she was all would travel all over the world and said, "Hey, we have a job for you in Europe." At the time, it was Japan, and she wanted me to go there for a month. But I was in medical sales, and my boss said, are you crazy? We're not going to let you out of your territory to travel for a month." So I went back to her and said, if you can give me 2 weeks, I could take, a 2 week vacation. And then that's when she said, hey, we have Germany and we have Italy. Do you want to come? We're hiring Americans to come over and teach, be fitness educators. So I went there for 2 weeks and taught all over, mostly Germany and Italy. And from there, I came back, but then I got a job offer to teach. They were hiring American instructors. And from there, I just packed up and said, I'm gone. I'm leaving. My parents thought I was crazy, but I just said, it was a 6 month contract. And I said, what's 6 months to see if this is going to work for me? So that's how I got to Europe. And that was just with fitness. And then, of course, that transcended into being a cheerleading coach.
I was going to say, and you wound up being there for a lot longer than 6 months.
6 months turned into 5 years.
Yeah. What
Yes, I
did
ended up, yeah.
what did you learn?
Oh, wow. Uh,
Because I totally believe that people should travel as much as they should and could,
yep.
because you learn so much about the rest of the world and it makes you very grateful for what we have here.
That's correct. There's a lot of things that we take for granted here.
Hmm.
I remember getting my first apartment and it was just four walls. There was like wires hanging from the light. I mean, you have to, when you go to IKEA and you see all those things in Europe, you have to have a kitchen. You have to build the light fixtures, all of that. I mean, I couldn't believe that, all that stuff wasn't ready made. But resiliency is a big one. Because it's a different culture. So you're learning on the fly. You don't know how to speak the language. There's things you don't do, like the recycling thing was, it's still big there, but you had to separate the green glass from the white glass, from the plastic, from the compost. I mean, those types of things you just learn, the longer you live there, the transportation, the personalities and the characters. Germans are very don't have a lot of personal space. They're right up in front of you, and as Americans, you're kind of backing up. So just resiliency, faith. I mean, it took a lot of faith to live there and go through, a lot of racism at the time. So just a lot of lessons, and a lot different people, different religions. How did you grow up? Talking to your Muslim friends, talking to your Indian friends that had arranged marriages, talking to just Israeli. I had so many different friends and clients when I started my personal training business there. But it opened a whole new world. I was so glad I did it.
It really churned you around. All right, let's
Yes,
talk. Your audiobook is out.
yes.
But how do you lead these folks barely speaking their language and you say, yeah, we can do this. Let's go for the championship in Munich.
Right. They were, luckily it was an American football. When you say football in Europe,
Yeah,
obviously we know it's
Kansas City
soccer.
Chiefs are playing in there with real football this year, but
Right.
you're talking soccer. Yeah.
Yeah, so soccer, so American football. The manager of the German cheerleaders found out I was a cheerleader, and she came to my class. And of course, she couldn't speak any English. We had a translator, and she said, "Would you come to the rehearsal?" And so I went to the rehearsal. They were cheering in English. So I was actually impressed that they knew the sport, they knew the rules, and that they were cheering for the games. They had games in the summer for, it's kind of like a junior league,
Right.
junior college.
Mm-hmm.
It was more on that. And I thought, why not? Let's just go and watch. And I watched, and I was like, wow, okay. They're doing the best they can. It's American sport. So I agreed to start coaching, and then I think after maybe a year, that's when they said, we have a championship that we want to go to, and I was like, really? So then they showed me, at that time, videotape,
Huh?
and I thought, okay, well, I was a choreographer, and obviously I was on a championship team. And so we started getting ready for the championship, and it was rough. I mean, there were rules. The first practice, they're smokers, so they were taking a break. Okay, you guys can take a break. They were going outside smoking, and I'm like, wait a minute, what are we smoking?
Yeah.
So I had to put rules down: no
Yeah.
smoking in uniform, no smoking at practice. If you're late, you get these, demerits or penalties. If so it was a big lesson for them to learn the rules and the discipline that you have to
Discipline.
have
Yeah.
to cheer. Yes. So
And you
it
were
was,
up against everybody else from Europe too, weren't you?
yes. Well, I was the only American coach at the time, so I
Yeah.
think they knew that we had an advantage because I was American. So yeah, there were a couple of championships where they really stuck it to us. because we were better, and I told them we were going to always set the bar.
Why?
They should be looking to us to say, okay, what are they doing? And here's the next step. But so yes, the championships were great, and they continue to get better. I taught them how to tumble, do gymnastics, and we just kept on stepping it up. So, who knew that almost 30 years later, I would get the opportunity to tell my story in an Audible book. So it's been really, really great reminiscing to go back and remember everything.
Yeah. And the fact that it is audiobook, you hear your excitement and everything that is still there. It's still palpable for you.
Yes.
I can see it in you.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
let me go also to the point where you do something else that I told you I didn't think I'd ever do, and that's you're a triathlete, and
Yes.
just recently one in your age group. So talk
Yes.
about becoming a triathlete because you just don't quit.
I've always liked a good challenge. I started out, I was a cyclist and runner, of course, and I started doing what's called a duathlon. So that's when you run and you bike and then you actually run again, because my swimming wasn't that great then. So I started doing that. And then one of my friends that was a cyclist also said, we should try this triathlon thing. Let's try swimming. So we said, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to take a year. We're going to work on our swimming. I knew how to swim, but not like that, really swimming laps. So I got lessons. I had these clinics where they videotape you and help you with your stroke. And 2 months, probably 2 or 3 months before the race, she told me, I can't do this. I'm out. And I'm like, you're the one that taught me into this, and now you're out. So I had invested a lot of time and money into lessons, and I said, I'm doing it. And so I did my first race. I had my friends there to support me. I always had a fear of open water swimming, which this really helped, because if I couldn't touch the bottom, I was like, I'm not there. So I just worked on it. And then my first race, I was the last one out the water. But once I came out of the water, I thought, okay, you
We're rolling.
survived. You got in the yes, and then I got on the bike and the run, which was great for me. So every race and every year, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get better and better in my swimming. And then I went to longer distances, and then I went to an ocean swim. So it's just always challenging myself. It's
Well,
been
that
great.
challenge, though, you most recently in Florida.
Yes, in Florida. I along my journey also, I ended up having a hip replacement. So that was very challenging
You being an
because
athlete, uh, how was your cure rate? Getting healthy again. Because I've
I
had many friends who have had the hip replacement. Some who were a little bit more active, it wasn't as bad. Those who weren't, it was real bad. It was
okay.
hard for them.
I think because I was an athlete already, that helped with my mindset. I did a lot of research because there's different incisions where they make the cuts, and I interviewed a lot of surgeons, because as a personal trainer and as a triathlete, I needed someone on the same page. And pretty much the first three surgeons were, no, don't run. No, you can't do this. Stop. You can't. And I thought, why is everybody telling me what not to do with the titanium hip? I should be doing great things. And my fourth surgeon said, yes, you can race again. You can run. And I said, well, I don't really want to do a lot of running anymore, but I want to do it. So anyone that has hip pain, you just stop walking and moving, because it's very, very painful with the
Hmm. Hmm.
arthritis. And when I started looking at things as, how far is that? I said, okay, you have to get this done, because you're going to become more and more sedentary. And so I made a point 6 months before the surgery, even though I was in really good shape, to swim and bike and strength train as much as I could, because I knew going into the surgery, I was going to get up a lot faster. So I did a spin class actually the day before my surgery. And then 4 weeks after my surgery, I was able to get back in the pool and on a stationary bike. And then 8 months post-op, I did my first race, but I did a little more walking. We had a trip scheduled to the Grand Canyon. So I hiked the Grand Canyon. So no one should be afraid to get a joint replacement these days. It was outpatient. I mean, the technology is so much better than when my mom had her surgery and she was in the hospital for a week and went to rehab for 3 or 4 weeks. So it's the technology is great now.
You what one of the most important things that you just said though was for people to interview who is going to be doing their surgery
Correct.
because there are so many different options out here and way too many people just go with the doctor they got or that is recommended, and you really do need to do your research and your
You have to.
homework
You
according to how you live and
Yes.
according to how you want to live afterwards.
Correct. And I felt the first surgeons were just, you should be happy to have a new hip and be able to walk around, the rest of your life. And they didn't get that I needed to get up and do something. And so now, since I've had my surgery, I'm doing more. They have a category called the bike, aqua bike. So you can actually just swim and bike. Just that's it. You don't have to run. And in Florida, I did a relay, so they didn't have the aqua bike. So I swam and biked, and then I had a friend that did my 6 mile run on the back. And yes, I was able to get first place. So I'm still very competitive. So that makes me
Hey,
feel great.
that's so wonderful. Kathy, what made you decide that you wanted your own business?
I think I kind of fell into that too, because I was in Europe um, teaching, group fitness, and I started they had a magazine called Munich Found. It was an English speaking magazine. And because I love, weight training and teaching other people how to do it, I decided I'm going to go into people's homes. And I took an ad out and said, American trainer in Munich. And here's my number. And I started getting business where I would actually go to people's homes. I took my little weights with me and bands, and I started going around uh, to different businesses. And then, of course, I was in the gym, and that was way before personal trainers were like something that stars or people that could really afford it back then. And
Exactly.
yeah, so it started becoming like regular. People said, hey, I have this, or my doctor says I have to get stronger here. So I actually started Fit Bodies in Germany, in Munich. I had a student that was an American that was a PR person, and she helped me put together a logo and business cards. And that's how I started over there, and then kept it going when I moved back stateside.
And it really helped you learn about business too, didn't it?
Oh yeah, I had to have contracts. I had a great German woman that was my translator, so she put on my um, contracts and waivers in English and in
And in
German.
German. Hmm.
Yes, and getting people to sign contracts and how you were going to get paid, and yeah, that's kind of one of those trial and error things, because you don't get your money up front, or so you're like, okay, so I'm going to have to get this, or I have to know how to bill this way. So it was a learning experience. But yes, I started Fit Bodies in Munich.
All right. It's starting to be summer
Yes,
and we all need to go do something. And I know it's hard to tell people, but you can start wherever you are.
yes, yes. There's a great quote. I think it's C.S. Lewis, and it says, "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." I love that, because it doesn't matter. A lot of people think I'm too old to start, but you can start now getting healthy, even if you didn't do anything then or before, or you were an athlete and then you stopped and then you want to start, and you can start where you are. And then, but that's where I come in as a trainer, because a lot of people jump in too fast and then they get injured. So yes, you can start just by moving. I tell people, just start moving. Walking is a good thing. That's free. People think I got to join the gym and I have to do things like that. But just starting moving. I always tell my clients, schedule your workouts. I schedule all my workouts. If you look at my calendar, I have swim, walk the dog. I'm going to do a strength training workout. I'm going to bike. So I always schedule it just like it's any other business appointment.
Yeah, I like to get up and do it in the morning. If I'm
Yes,
gonna
some
if I'm
people,
gonna do anything, it's generally in the morning, sometimes in the evening in the summertime because it's light out a little bit longer. I may go back out a second time or whatever. But I feel like it's a way for me to kick off my day.
yes. And I think even if you're not a morning person, I just started a client. She's a physician and a professor here in Atlanta at Morehouse. And she told me I gotta start. I need to work out at 6:30, but I'm not a morning person. But I want to make it a habit. And I said, okay. So I would, call her online and it would be dark. I would be waking her up. Now we're 3 months in it and the lights are on, she's dressed, she's ready. And, of course, we had to talk about her getting to bed, earlier. And she's just like, I feel so much better starting off my morning because I know how crazy my day is and I won't do it in the evening. So yes, you can become a morning workout person even if you've never done it. It's just making it a habit.
And that's what's so very important. Let's talk to those folks out there who really feel like they need to get into a bathing suit and maybe shouldn't. But some of those workouts that are just, like you said, as easy as walking, but also paying attention to what you eat.
Nutrition is huge. My clients always know, I always tell them getting fit is 90% what you eat and 10% what you do. Because we're always thinking, okay, we're gonna work this off or what have you. If you don't have your nutrition, another quote I always use for them is, "You can't exercise your way out of a bad diet. You can't. I ate this bad thing, and now I'm trying to run on the treadmill. You have. It's about balance. If you talk to my clients, I'm never telling them don't cut this food group out or what have you. I'm just saying, okay, if we're going to have this, let's keep our portion sizes down. Let's make better choices as far as fried foods and as far as the way you prepare it. But I think those are the two big things: is the portion sizes and the choices. People still want to eat a lot of fried food. Yeah, so nutrition is the key with
Yeah.
being fit.
It's a way to also pay attention. There are too many books out there. There are too many ways. People say, "Oh, I just don't know where to begin." Well, open up a book, open up
Right.
an audio. You can go online nowadays and find so much stuff. Call a
That's true.
personal trainer too, huh?
Right, exactly. We are the true accountability partners. I have, as a triathlete, I have accountability partners. Actually, we're going to be biking tomorrow, so I put out a text thread and say, "Who's biking tomorrow? How many miles do y'all want to go?" Because it makes me accountable, even if I'm tired. Okay. Or my friend today said, "Oh, I'm going to go to the pool at 9," and I'm like, "I can't get there till 11," but she went, so I should go too. So
Yeah.
having accountability, a neighbor, a friend, to help push you through your workouts, or meet somebody for your workouts, or hire a personal trainer, or there's we're online. There's a lot of people on videos. So accountability is huge.
Yeah. And don't let age, unless you've got some real physical problem, don't let age stand in your way either. It's so important. There's so many people in their heads, they're old, even
Right.
though they may not be that old. I was talking to somebody the other day, 60 years old, and she goes, "Well, I'm so old." And I'm going, "Please, child, I'm almost old enough to have birthed you. Please." You know, I said, "You got to get out of that mindset of being old and
Yes.
instead be grateful for the time that you have and, complaining about arthritis and that kind of stuff." And I said, "That's because you don't do
Right.
anything."
She doesn't move. I started some clients that I still have. Probably my oldest client the longest I've been training is 23 years. So I started training
Wow.
her in her 60s and she's in her 80s. And then my other client the other day, she just actually moved out of state. She's 83. And her doctor made me come. She came to me in her early 70s, and she's still coming to me. But guess what? Now what we have to do is we have to work on functional strength. She told me she pops out, she does squats, she stands up, and she was telling me, wow, some of my friends can't get out of the chair now because they don't have the strength. But we've been working out over 10 years, and she started in her 70s and now she's in her 80s, and she's her balance is great, her mobility is great. So you're right, it's never too late.
Yeah. Mind over matter.
Exactly.
Because it does matter.
It does. If you don't have your health, you have nothing.
Right, right. If you could tell people, I know you've basically told them what they should be doing, but finding their own comfort level can be very hard. And then one of the other things you do is you train people for triathlons.
I do. I have several world. They've made the world team USA. So they have, as a coach, a strength coach, and a triathlete, you have a lot to do. You have your pool swims and your bikes and your runs. So you have set plans that are several months to get you ready for a triathlon. So because it is a multi-sport, a lot of triathletes are like, I don't have time to strength train. So that's where I come in, because a couple of my triathletes got injured. And that's something that can happen if your muscles aren't strong with the repetitiveness of this sport. So I love training athletes like that, because then they see, wow, I can actually feel my glutes now when I'm biking, or I'm now I notice that I'm stronger, my core is stronger, I have a better swim. So that makes me excited, and then I'm always following their races and seeing how much better they're doing. So yes, I train athletes as well, which is always exciting because I'm an athlete too.
Yeah, well, you definitely are an athlete. As you look ahead, though, we've got a friend who's going to be joining us pretty soon,
Okay.
and I'm excited about that because the combination for you two to both talk about not only how you met, but and the joy you had,
Mm-hmm.
sharing a lot of things together, but also talking about people getting ready. Our friend Carl Powell, I'll say his
Yes.
name now because he'll be on in a few minutes.
Uh-huh.
Um, he goes more for the what I call the quieter exercise,
Yes.
qigong, yoga,
Tai Chi.
Tai Chi. There he is.
Speak
Grow,
of the
grow where
devil.
you are, planet. Yeah. It's like we called him on, didn't we? Hey, babe.
Yay.
Yay.
we
Did
that
you
was
will
it.
me on?
We couldn't have cued that better. That was
No,
that
I know.
was
I looked at the time and I
awesome.
said, oh, he'll be on because he's really efficient, you know?
Yes, he
I'm
is.
I'm German. What can I say?
You all learned that. Yeah, Kathy was on just beforehand. Folks, in case you haven't seen, what was it? You were number 8, right? Of the
Number
on
eight,
the
yeah.
shared path. You should. You'll get to know more about Carl Powell. He lives. We're all over the country
Oh
right here.
man.
I'm in Maryland.
Right.
Kathy's in Atlanta, and you're in Hawaii. And we're so
Hawaii.
glad you were able to join
Yay.
us today. Really and
Uh,
truly. Uh, we
I'm
were,
so
we,
happy to be here.
yeah. I met Kathy through you. I want to talk about how you two met because that's a story within itself. Two Black folks from the States meeting in Germany. Now, that, folks, this is what the world can do for you.
Exactly. Okay. I don't know. You want me to go first as far as when I first met the Carl Powell?
Go
He was
ahead.
working for Nike Elite. He was there weren't that many of us back in the 80s that were teaching instructors, and he was working for Nike. And I was a champion then for Crystal Light. And I remember meeting Carl in a hotel room. We all came. I think Coco and Connie probably brought me up there. And Carl
Uh,
was Carl. He's the light in the room. And I just had an instant connection. I mean, we just laugh, and we just, I mean, way before internet, we just stayed in touch. And he would come over to Germany. I was over there at the time. He knows I'm gonna tell the story. So we were in Germany, and he was there visiting, and he was saying, I will never come to Germany. I don't know how you guys live here, and then I don't know, was it a year or two later? And someone said, oh, Carl's the manager of a fitness club in, I don't know what part of Germany it was. And I couldn't believe it. I tracked you down because because one, I wanted to see him, but two, he just hazed me for at the time living in Germany, and now he was in Germany, and we just stayed in touch, and he would come down to Munich.
Well, money talks. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I can say I'll never live someplace, but when someone says, "Do you want X amount of dollars to go someplace?" money will talk to you. So, but it was awesome experience being in Germany and actually living there. But going back to how I met Kathy, we as a group of Black instructors realized that we weren't getting our props in the fitness business. And so we all got together. There were probably 8 of us at the time out of thousands of white people that were there. The 8 of us got together and said, how can we unite and make our voice heard? And I remember Kathy walking in the room, and I'm sure you talked about her book. She was in cheerleader style. Hi, I'm Kathy Murray. She came in so happy and bouncy. And she cracked me up, and she had this little flip hairstyle that bounced with her when she walked and talked. And I thought, this girl is too cute, and that smile gets me every time. But that was 40 years ago. But Kathy and I, we've shared adventures that I think all people should be able to share, like depth and compassion and friendship, what friendship is really like. I'm watching our parents age. We've been through a lot of life experiences, and that's what makes you close as human beings, is the experience that you have.
That's true.
So,
definitely.
Very, 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 very true. And of course, I'm glad to have met both of you. But Kathy, what's funny is I met Kathy's husband before I met Kathy. I didn't even know about Kathy. Sweet Lou, that's what we call him. And I met him because of Carl. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Carl's a
I try
magnet.
to bring people together.
Yeah, a few.
I believe that when you find beautiful people and beautiful sparks in the world, bring them together. Some people are intimidated. Like, if these people get together, they may not want me, but I never feel that way. My feeling is always, if I can lift you up and lift Kathy up by lifting myself up at the same time, we're all elevating at the same time, which is important in friendship.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about getting ready for the summer because we have to do that. Kathy's given us some tips. You can reiterate on a lot of the things that you've said up to this point, but it's really important for us to put it out there and let's have a good time, but also pay attention to our bodies. Carl?
Okay. My number one tip would be be mindful. Just notice what you're doing in the summer. Summer always brings you out of the house, and the weather is warmer, you want to do things, and realize that everything that you do doesn't necessarily have to be good for your physical health. It can be good for your mental health or your spiritual health. For example, when I go in my garden in the morning and water my plants, I may not be exercising, but my mind, body, and spirit are mindful and mindfully connected together, so that I'm working in unison with my mind, body, and spirit, and it's good for my stress level and just for my overall happiness. So that would be my number one tip, is really be mindful and really find things that you love to do also.
That was plenty. Go ahead, Kathy.
No, and I agree, because I always tell my clients that are office people, or they always tell me, I don't have time, I got to get things done. And just take a moment to walk around, go outside and get some vitamin D and clear your head. So when you come back to work, you'll be a lot clearer and a little bit more refreshed.
And also just in general, being physical, and whether it's a combination of mind and body, does help lift your brain for allowing good things to come in. Whether it's a problem at work or a problem at home, they can seem to smooth out when you've had time to think about it.
Definitely.
Rather than just getting an attitude.
Right.
And that's the beauty of meditation, because what meditation teaches you is to take a pause and a breath before you respond. So when you don't take that pause or that breath, you react. So when you have taken that pause, that breath, you're more clear and you're more ready to respond to whatever comes next, opposed to reacting to whatever comes next. So meditation and deep breathing while you walk, because you can do all three at the same time. When you come back from whatever activities you need to do next, you're going to be clear.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Thank you very much. You agree? Because we had talked with her about biking and walking and swimming and things like that. I can't
Mm,
swim. And
yeah, me either.
It's
uh,
never too late.
Yeah,
It's never
it's too
too
late.
late. It's
I was
never too
born too
late.
late for swimming.
No, no one.
Yeah.
In my group, there's women 60s and 70s learning how to swim.
Uh, that's nice.
This is this is this is Kathy though. We joke about this, and Maggie, we talked about this. Kathy loves to exercise, and she thinks that everyone should just love it as much as she does, which is great because that's why she's so inspiring to others. Where me, on the other hand, I like to teach it to other people, but I have to force myself to exercise. Like meditation, yoga, those kind of things, my body loves, and I want to do all of that stuff. When it comes to cardio or weightlifting, I have to sit down and have a come to meeting with myself. Like, okay, Carl, today you are going to lift those weights, and I force myself to do it. I do it, but I don't do it as happily as Kathy does.
Well, I do tell Carl, okay, have you been on the treadmill today, or have you gone for your walk? But I need more of Carl, meaning even though I'm like, go, 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 I need more of the stretching and the meditation and the yoga. I definitely need to balance that out more on my side with the yoga. So both of them, I don't know about loving exercise. I do like movement. And sometimes I just
Joe,
walk
you do.
also.
You both just brought up something about weight training. And I think a lot of times people start out sometimes with too heavy of a weights and
Mm.
can really wind up hurting themselves rather than helping themselves. When you're starting
Kathy and I were
people
just
out,
talking.
go, go
Kathy
ahead,
and I were
Kathy.
talking about that the other day. That in our 60s, we don't heal as quickly as we did when we were younger. So we don't have the option or the time to injure ourselves. So everything that we do, we need to enter more cautiously, more mindfully. So if we're going to lift weights, start off with, if you haven't lifted weights in 6 years, don't start off with 50 pounds. That's just not a smart thing to do. Start with a 5 pound weight and just let your muscles start to get back into the memory of what it feels like to work out, and then progress to 10 and then maybe go to 20. But anytime you're starting a program, you have to start off you from the very beginning. If that's where you are, if you're at the very beginning, and be proud of that, be okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's harder for men because they want to do heavier weight, or they want to do, I used to do this back in college, and then they're not there yet. They're not there at all, and then they become injured. And that's why I tell my older clients, even if they don't want to work out with me, they'll say, well, if they have trainers at the gym, and I always say, don't, you're 60, don't get a 20-year-old trainer. They're not going to understand the the progression, really what you need to be working on as far as functional strength and balance and those things like that. And because you may get injured, they may kind of cookie cutter you and put too much weight on.
That's the truth. That's hard. That's very, very hard. Um, I was just thinking, are there any tips that you can give people, Kathy, in particular, about starting out? I know you said start out slow, but also as we prepare for going to the beach, going to getting in our little summery clothing. I've already seen people with some don't clothing on. Bob and I passed it yesterday, and I said, "Oh, don't did you not look at that
Don't.
beforehand?" Yeah. So, but anyway, hey, what are a few other tips for people out there?
We had talked about this earlier, where nutrition is huge, so you have to be a little bit more mindful if you want to, get back into some of the clothes you haven't been in for a while. You kind of have to balance things out and make that a little some healthier choices. One move, again, what we talked about, just simply walking, walk around your block, walk, then it'll go to two blocks. I'm actually training a team of my clients right now. They have a big race here called the Peachtree Road Race, and it's on July 4th. And it's a 10K walk down Peachtree all the way to Piedmont Park. And I give yes, and it's 6 miles. And we start with two sessions a week just for time. It's like 30 minutes, and then we do a mileage on the weekend. And we do that for 2 and almost 3 months. And by the end, they're going to add slowly. They're going to add a 5-minute thing during the week. Then they're going to do a half a mile on the weekend. And my 80-year-old did it last year. And she, at 4 miles, she's like, I don't think I can do this. I'm like, stick to the program. And she walked and she walked and she walked. And then she's in Jersey. But on July 4th, she walked a 10K for the first time. And she just started out walking. So it's just a natural progression. So that walking is free. Walking is easy to do.
I love walking in nature. You know, in the woods. I got a couple of spots around where I walk. Not just my neighborhood alone has a lot of trees, but there are a couple of other places that are near water, and I really love doing that. You know, so don't have to do much, sir.
Yep, just movement.
Would you like to add?
I would say don't forget about your skin, because your skin is your largest organ. I'll repeat that. Your skin is your largest organ. And so you really want to stay hydrated, moisturized, and always use sunscreen, and try to stay away from sunscreens that have chemicals in them. Because the ones that have chemicals in them only come to the surface of your skin. They don't absorb. So they don't really moisturize your skin at the same time. When you find the ones that are chemical free, they tend to absorb into your skin, so they moisturize and protect at the same time.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I know they say stay away from chemical free, but sometimes it's really hard to find. And that's one of the things that are hard to find.
Here on Maui, that is illegal to use sunscreen with chemicals, and they have people that patrol the beaches and actually go and check your sunscreen to make sure that it's ocean safe.
Wow, that's great.
So, yeah.
You want to drop any names?
You know, Hawaii.
I'm serious. I'm very, very serious, because I don't know of any areas around here that are like that. But if you want to name a product or two, go ahead. It's my show. You can do that.
Well, I do have a few products that you want to stay away from: zinc, and I can't remember the other one. There's zinc, and there's another one. I'm going to put it at the end of the show when I edit everything. And I'll put up the 2 products that don't have any chemicals in them, because I don't have them on my head right now. But it's very important then to hydrate also, because hydration is not only good for your skin, but it's good for your entire system. So water all summer long, more water. Think more water in the summer. You're just like a plant. In the summer, your plants need more water also, because they're in growth. So in summer, we're
need water all the time.
More water.
Yes, you do need water all the time. And you can kind of tell, I can tell especially a lot of my morning clients, when they're dehydrated, because they're a little confused. We kind of lose after 60 the ability to know when we need to have water. And so a big thing of that is confusion, dizziness. And sometimes they're like, oh, I have to sit down for a second. I'm like, how much water have you had? Oh, you know what? I was in the office and I didn't have any water. So water is so important.
Yeah. I used to drink green tea with fresh ginger in it all the time too. Just another way to hydrate. And coconut water is another one. And I mean straight coconut water, not with sugar, not with anything else. Just a way of staying hydrated, especially in the summertime. Because I'm a sweater. I mean, I can be sitting in the shade and stuff will be pouring off of me. I thank my dad for that. He gave me those genes, so it was always good. Well, listen, you two, thank you very much for joining me today. I think we've covered it. What do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
Be mindful, do yoga and meditate in the summer. Mindfulness, yoga, meditation in the summertime, because you always want to keep your stress level down and keep a smile on your face. Hi, Kathy. Kathy has one of my favorite smiles.
I
when
think
she smiles, it makes me smile.
I think that's year round, the mindfulness and yoga and that's year round. I think we're stressed year round, but not in the summer. But yeah, so just get out and enjoy the sunshine, of course, with the sunscreen, but just that vitamin D, and go to a park and get involved with nature. And when you're doing that type of thing, it doesn't seem like so much like exercise.
Right.
When you're going through that, join a group. We have great outdoor groups here that are free, and they take you on hikes, nature hikes, and things like that too. So, and that helps with your accountability too, and meeting other people.
And don't be afraid to try something to get yourself feeling good. Also, a lot of fresh vegetables and things out right now.
Oh, yes.
Folks, wash them before you eat them. That's the one thing
Yes.
that's my little thing. I really love my fruits and vegetables, but I am very good about washing them. That stems from years ago. I was at a store and it was wintertime, and this guy was sneezing and coughing, and he put his hand up because nowadays you go to the elbow, but sneezing and coughing. And after he got through with that, he just reached right over and started filling the fruit again. And ever since then, it's been over 20 years ago. Ever since then, it's like, oh no, that's not going in my refrigerator before I do that washing. And you go to farmers markets, it's like, yeah, that may be organic, but
yeah, people were squeezing.
How many other people have touched it while there? So that's my little thing that I send out, but that's all year round, not just for summertime. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for joining me today. You two were delightful. Once again, Kathy can be found at fit hyphen
bodies, B as in boy, ODIES.net, fit-bodies.net.
Thank you. And of course, Carl at carlpowell.com. Thank you. It's been fun. And folks, all I have to do is stay out there as I end every show to continue to seek peace and spread lots of love. I'm Maggie Linton.